So obviously the NBA is doing their bubble thing, and they boycotted their games on Wednesday. I think it was
Yeah,
Wednesday.
it was Wednesday.
And then some of the MLS teams, a lot of them followed suit. I think baseball had a couple that did as well. The WNBA.
NFL teams canceled practice. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Lions were the first one that did that.
Mhm.
So, as a journalist, especially like you heard, I don't know if you heard Stephen A. Smith came. There was a players meeting, I think, with some of the owners in the NBA, and
Mhm.
Stephen A. Smith comes out of that, and he says like the players weren't happy with how LeBron was uh, sort of presenting himself in that meeting. If you're a reporter in there, like, does Stephen A. Smith have some like? I'm going to take Woj aside because I've never seen Woj be wrong. He's always first and he's always right.
Yeah.
But but do journalists like Stephen A. Smith and like some of the other ones like that have sort of a? He seems like he's got some. I don't want to use the word privilege, but he's got this like sort of like if he gets it wrong, it's kind of okay because he's Stephen A. Smith.
Hmm.
Is that?
So yeah, I saw that too, and I was like, what? Where's that from? And yeah, it was Stephen A. Smith, and I know what you mean about like not necessarily privilege, but he has some clout because of his experience. And he's a source where more times than not I tend to trust
I
because
do as well, definitely.
he's so tight with the players and he has sources. But the barrier we have with him is that his primary role at ESPN is to debate and to argue and to say inflammatory things, hot takes.
Yeah.
Whereas Woj, like Adam Schefter, their only jobs are to report. You know, they are
Mhm.
just giving you facts, like cold hard facts, as soon as they happen. So that's why, like, when we um, see what they say, we take it as gospel because they're never wrong and they never show their bias.
Mm-mm.
I can tell you what teams Woj and Adam Schefter root for,
Yeah,
um,
me
but,
neither.
but but I know Stephen A. Smith is a Knicks fan, a Steelers
Yeah,
fan. He wears that on his sleeve. So then we
and he
then
hates the Cowboys.
and he hates the Cowboys. So then it just automatically there's a level of distrust that comes with that because he becomes human. Whereas we see Woj and Adam Schefter are just robots who don't sleep and have 10 cell phones. Whereas Stephen
Yeah,
A. Smith has, you know, he has teams to root for. He goes to games. He takes vacation, things like that.
yeah.
Whereas,
Woj and Schefter are like fact reporting machines.
yeah. And when Woj, like, he sent an email to some senator or something like that that got him suspended by ESPN, people were like people like me, like, what? He can do that? He has opinions? it was
Yeah,
it's just weird. So yeah, it's hard to believe stuff when it's reported by a guy like Stephen A. Smith. Um,
even though he is quite trustworthy, though, generally speaking.
yeah, he is. Like I always I trust what he says, but it's just like different when it comes from him
Mm.
because we expect that stuff from Woj.
Also, you can kind of tell though when he's talking. You can kind of tell when he's like buckling down and being serious about something, versus like when he's like got the cowboy hat on and he's got the cigar. And he's like, "How about them Cowboys?" Like you
Yeah,
can tell there's like two different Stephen A. Smiths. Like there's like the reporting Stephen A. Smith, like when he comes out and is like, "Hey, the players didn't like how LeBron talked to them," and then
yeah,
there's the first take. I'm gonna mess with Max Kellerman today, Stephen A. Smith. You can kind of tell. At least I can kind of tell the difference. I mean, maybe I'm just crazy, but can you tell like when he's like,
yeah. I you can tell a difference, and he's a guy with so many different like levels of character that it's clear. He talks in his slow, low voice when he's
mm-hmm,
serious. He looks right at the camera,
mm-hmm.
and then when he's on first take and they're debating, he talks real high and really fast, and that's when you can tell
Yeah,
when it's entertainment or information. And he plays that really well. He rides that line really well.
mm-hmm. He does, and I feel like often the news, the sort of LeBron news that we saw from him,
Yeah.
usually I don't really. He's the only one that has that kind of clout where players are going to be like, "Hey, I didn't like this thing that so and so said in private," and he never reveals who it was, and he never says like who told him. or
Mhm.
what was said. He just says, "Hey, I know this," but it's only him because Woj doesn't really report on that sort of stuff that much. Woj is like, this player was traded, or this player signed here, or this player's in talks with here, like with this team. Stephen A. Smith gets the more like emotional reporting almost. Is that
Mhm.
like what they're feeling, or like what he expects to come because so and so is feeling a certain way about this thing.
Mhm.
And is that sort of a niche that you like as a reporter you can jump into at is like, or is that just kind of based off their personalities and their sources?
Yeah, it's based off, like you said, personality and sources. So Woj's sources are all front office people. They are um, partners. They're business partners.
Mm-hmm.
People who know about decisions before they're made. Um, Stephen A. Smith sources are the players, the coaches,
Mm-hmm.
um, and so his reporting is a little trickier because of that emotional level. Like his risk in reporting that about LeBron is that he now, can LeBron talk to Stephen A. Smith in confidence, or can LeBron trust Stephen A. Smith as, someone he can talk to about stuff?
Mm-hmm.
You hurt feelings in that way, um, and it's all about, your personality, and you can get into a niche based on your personality. If you're a very trusting guy,
Mm-hmm.
and a very talkative individual, extroverted. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah,
Extroverted
yeah.
person. You can be a Stephen A. Smith and have sources on the inside, and you can give the more emotional side of reporting. Whereas if you're more introverted, then you can take advantage of that, and talk to just people over cell phone and the front
Mm-hmm.
office people.
Yeah.
Um, I not to call Woj introverted, because he's on TV 24/7 and
Mm-hmm.
talks to people all the time, but he's not getting an emotional connection with his reporting doesn't rely on emotional connection like Stephen A. Smith.
Right. Also,
Um,
when he was on Yahoo, he was never on TV, really.
yeah. Oh yeah. He was a faceless guy. He
Yeah.
was this faceless Twitter god.
Yeah,
So
that's what he was.
and then when we went to ESPN and you first see his face, he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is Woj."
He exists. He's real.
Yeah.
No, I think Stephen A does a really good job of that though, because he'll come tell you things that people have told him in confidence and not and reveal just enough to make it worth talking about, but not
Hmm.
enough that the players' trust in him erodes based on what he's saying.
Yeah.
I think is that role that he fits in the NBA, I think is really, I mean, it's impressive to me. Like the more I think, like the more I talk to you and other people in the journalism world, the more I think, like, I know there are definitely people that don't like him because they say he only yells, which maybe is true. But I don't know if you agree with this, but the level of reporting that he does on the subjects that he does and then maintains the relationships that he has is really impressive to me.
It is. It is, and it it takes a long time to build that level of trust to where you can push the envelope like he does, but still maintain that trust. It takes
Mm-hmm.
a long time, um, and he's earned it. It is very impressive. That's where he is, where he is now, and making the money he is now.
Yeah. Well, then there's Skip Bayless, who the players flame on Twitter all the time for saying dumb things.
Yeah. So he
So
he can't. Stephen A. Smith can maybe get away with saying dumb things sometimes because he'll own it when he's wrong, which
he does.
he's not. Yeah, which he's not wrong that often.
No.
He'll own it, but also his takes are informative,
Mm-hmm.
which is why he's not wrong very often. Whereas Skip doesn't. He's not sourcing his takes directly from the people. They're just from his own silly brain. So when he's wrong, and
He's really
he
wrong.
will make it known, and he doesn't have the trust to fall back on because
Yeah.
he didn't build that trust over time like Stephen A.
Yeah. I think he's fallen into the entertainment side. I don't think he does that much actual reporting anymore.
Oh yeah, no, he's just fun to listen to. Like, it's fun to just watch Shannon Sharp just beat him up.
Skip.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, once you get, I mean, if I'm Skip though, I'm not doing any real reporting anymore though.
No,
either.
you've made your money. You're old. Just sit back, have your nice cushy debate show in the morning, and go home to your wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need to put in the man hours. And Fox, they're not the ones. Their niche right now isn't reporting. It's you know debate shows and
In sports, you mean?
yeah, in sports. Yeah, Fox Sports. They're not out there breaking news. They're out there putting out just Twitter content and video content,
Hmm.
um, debate content. There's just entertainment. Like Colin Coward, sometimes he'll report stuff. If you listen to his show, it's more like he'll give you an unnamed source and say they're telling me this. And he's not breaking the news, but he's saying like I have a really reliable source. He's saying this.
Hmm.
Watch out for this.
Yeah.
And he was really right about. I think it was maybe it was LeBron to the Lakers, but and people saw it coming from a mile away.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's like that. He's not pushing that envelope with reporting. He's
No.
more so talking just his own opinion.
Yeah. So the only times that there's like breaking stuff on his shows when he brings like Chris Broussard or one of those guys on as a
Yeah.
guest for like 10, 15 minutes. But
Yeah, because
even so,
he had time at ESPN, and people really like him.
Broussard or Coward?
Chris Broussard.
Yeah.
He had his time at ESPN, and he built up a lot of credibility, and he carried that with him to Fox. Whereas Colin Coward, he was kind of an unliked figure even while he was at ESPN.
Yeah.
So he went over to Fox, and didn't really carry that like trust with him.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I haven't heard a lot from Broussard lately, as much as I used to.
Yeah, he's still there. I see him every now and then, but he did take kind of a hiatus for a little while.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hmm.